solutions, insurance, real estate planning, and the ancient wisdom of Vastu. Elevate your living and make informed decisions with the insights and strategies. Seconds, Nagaraj. Annaya, stay tuned for an enlightening experience.
Hello, Bay Area. I'm Nagaraj Annaiya, your trusted realtor right here in the heart of Silicon Valley. Welcome to the Real Estate Show, the one and only program where we bring in to a top industry experts to discuss everything happening in the world of real estate. We are live every Friday at 6:30 p.m. and Sunday at 12:30 p.m. exclusively on Bali 92.3. Today, I'm excited to be joining by Naresh from NT Bay Area, and we'll be diving deep into remodeling, construction, and all the trends shaping the Bay Area real estate market. Don't miss out. If you have got any questions or thoughts to share, give us a call. We are live and the studio line is open at 408 901 10993. Let me repeat, 408 901 0993. So any questions on the remodeling, it's a new number. Do try to give us a call, and anything on the remodeling, we would be happy to, and anything on the Bay Area real estate, I would be happy to take it down. Hello, Naresh. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nagaraj. Thank you for having me here. And thank you, Bay listeners, Bay Area listeners, 92.3 listeners.
Naresh, it's like it's been some time. It's like I'm wandering around or like wanted to talk to you on the constructions cost, right? Why have the construction costs risen so recently? And how can owners plan for these increases? What are the things, right? Like if somebody wants to do a remodeling, dude, you don't believe it. I had called one contractor 1 year back. His remodeling cost, whatever he gave me for the kitchen, it's doubled up right now.
Yes.
What do you think? What are the factors do you think is contributing to it?
Probably the main thing is inflation. And then the second thing is cost of increase in materials. And then third thing I would say is there are less qualified contractors. So everyone wants to hire a contractor who have good experience, who have good knowledge, who can take your project in really well. So these three things are, I mean, this thing is really lagging in the Bay Area. So in order to find the right contractor, so you have to pay a little bit more.
Now, what about this raw material price surge? Like as you said, inflation, material cost, right? Materials like steel, lumber, concrete. Even if you go to a Home Depot, it used to be so cheap for the materials. Now it's all the materials have gone up 2 times, 3 times. I can notice it. Is that all this material cost also is one of the contribution, right?
Yes, definitely. Because I also seen a lot of increase in raw material pricing, so which is directly impacted on the customers, you know.
Oh, and I think one listeners, like we are live on a Bali 92.3. Our studio line numbers for today is 408 901 0993. Any questions on the remodeling or anything on the Bay Area real estate, or if you want to say hi and talk about the Bay Area real estate, you can give us a call. Our studio line numbers are 408 901 0993. So I think one thing is well said, like inflation and the material cost. The second thing is the labor shortage.
Yes.
Are we getting enough laborers? Like even for the laborers right now, what is per day right now? Is it $250 laborers or $500? Depends on the qualifications, correct?
Depends on the qualification. And also as a contractor, what I normally pay is a high qualified worker, like a high qualified finish carpentry, you know, high qualified rough carpentry guy who does framing, very good framing. I have to pay him a lot more.
Okay.
You know, to make me in my team. And then also, you know, for him, the workers' compensation is less. When I get any employee who has no experience or a new experience, so I have to pay like 30% of his pay. So as workers' comp. So which is in turn, you know, increasing cost of remodeling projects for the homeowner, because ultimately it is charged for the homeowner.
I think that's a one well said. And one more thing, what I'm noticing, the reason for the increase for the construction cost is the even the building permits now, right? Like anything you want to add an addition or like anything you want to do with the permit, right? The time it takes, for example, you put for a permit, like it takes 6 weeks to review. 6 to 8 weeks to even to get in a comment from cities like Santa Clara, Sabas, San Jose, Milpitas. I think even to get your first comment, it takes a 6 weeks to 8 weeks, and again to go back, get it reviewed. That also contributing, right? Like even
Yes,
the city
definitely.
cost, whatever it is
Definitely.
involved right now.
Yes, definitely. Because, for example, ours is a full build and construction company,
Yes.
a design and build construction company. Basically, what we do is, we design the architectural plans, structural plans, Title 24, energy calculations, whatever is required for the city to approve the plans. We do all those drawings and submit to the city. Normally, if I have to have a third party doing this one for us, in the beginning when we first started our company, third parties doing it for us. They took like 6, 8 months for just to have these plans ready for us. But right now, since we have an in-house architect and engineer, so which we drastically cut down the time for 2 months. So we are saving almost 6 months right now with our company. Who can do architectural, structural design plans in less than 2 months. Okay, and then once we submit to the city, it's all depending on the city. It goes in the stack. So whoever first submits their application, it is reviewed first, and then whoever submits next, it is reviewed later. So it all depends on city where it got submitted, and then it also depends on how many applications they have to review. And then of course, once city reviews, they might not like something, they might ask us to, hey, correct these ones, do some corrections. So also the most faster you respond to the comments, the more higher chances that you get your permit sooner. But sometimes, for example, since we are a design build company, so we closely monitor all the changes that are happening in the city side. So if there is any change that happen in the city side, we immediately update our engineer and architect. Hey, there is a change happened. Can you resubmit that application, make those corrections, and submit back to the city? So we ask our engineer and architect to take that one as an immediate action item and then do it right away. So in that way, we are trying to cut down the time of getting the permits as much as possible from our side. When it goes to the city, we don't have any control on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listeners, myself Nagarajan Nair, the Bay Area Realtor. I'm talking to Naresh from NT Bay Area. And if you have any questions today, we are live on the Bali 92.3, and our studio line numbers are 408 901 0993. Let me repeat, 408 901 0993. And today we are discussing about why the construction costs have risen so much, and how do we can keep it cost effective to do any remodeling. So as Naresh was mentioning, various factors, inflation, and even the all of the factors which we are discussing is contributing. And one important thing is a timeline also. I think as he mentioned, see, again depends on the level of the work of the remodeling you're doing. You're just doing a simple remodeling, or you're doing a multiple, adding a multiple like square footage, like maybe you're adding a 500,000 square footage. The challenge is always the keeping up with the city codes, right? The city codes changes every 1 year or like every 2 years, depends on the planning commissions there. How do you keep like basically updating yourself for the up to the city codes, as the contractors should be aware of all the city codes, what's happening in around, or like before you apply one for the after you apply for the permits, the city will update you on the city codes on that.
So as a contractor, it's one of my responsibility as well to know what is the present code in plumbing, electrical, mechanical, framing, and then we have to update ourselves. So that's it's in every work, in every work it is like an ongoing process. So I think I'm not exceptional, because any job wherever you do, you need to constantly update your skills, update your work. So as part of that one, we have to keep learning and the new codes, what is there currently, so we have to upgrade. So, and also since we are more focused and then doing these ones for all around the year, since this is our primary job, so we have to be updated. The likewise with the architect and structural engineer as well. So since they are doing the same thing repetitively, since that's a primary job for them, so they have to be updated as per the city codes, and they have to make those changes for the ongoing documents. So in that way, we're trying to reduce the amount, the number of revisions or slash iterations from the city of being happening.
I think that's a well said, right? Like, but what are the some cost effective ways to remodel without sacrificing the quality? That's very important.
Okay.
How do you cost effective, right? Like the
Okay.
remodeling.
Okay.
What are the things you think on the top of your mind? Listeners, myself, Nagraj from Nagraj, Nagraj Unaya. I'm talking to Naresh from NT Bay area. We are discussing all about the remodeling today, all about. So if you have any questions, you can give us a call. Our studio line numbers are 408-901-0993. Let me repeat, 408-901-0993. So how do you cost effectively manage it, remodeling?
So, for example, if you're trying to do any remodeling, interior remodeling, for example, full home remodeling. So, if you're not changing any walls, if you're not moving walls, then it will go into a different bracket. So, that means the time for us to get the approvals from the city is relatively less. So, if you are touching any structural work, if you are moving walls, if you are changing the elevation of your roof, if you are doing any kind of framing changes, that will cause us to be in more time bracket. The reason is, so engineer have to do his structural calculations, and then he need to submit a report to the city, and then city need to review. So which in turn, the whole process will be like 3-4 months at least. Okay. So I would say, like, if you don't want to change the, the interior walls when you're doing a home remodeling, that is advisable, because so in that way you don't have to go and then go through this process of 4 months or so. Because if you have to change it, there is, you have to do it, but you can do it multiple ways. And then the other thing is, when you're trying to build an EDU, okay, don't try to go something, the elevations of the roof, too complex. Try to make it simple as possible. So, in that way, it will reduce the cost.
I think that's well said. I think, listeners, I'm Nagaraj Annaya, your trusted Bay Area realtor. Today I'm talking to Naresh from NT Bay Area, and we're talking all about the remodeling, construction, and everything. And if you have any questions on the Bay Area real estate or a construction, you can give us a call. Our studio line numbers is a new number for today studio's line. So the numbers are 408-901-0993. So I think it's a well said, right? Like, yeah, I think it depends on what complex project you want to do.
Correct.
I think one of the complex project we were discussing before this show, like one of my client was doing the basically remodeling of the commercial project. For him, he needs to be doing a fire sprinklers. If he wants to do a fire sprinklers, he needs to be drawing a new plumbing line. Like basically, he needs to be measuring the water pressure. Okay, how much is the water pressure in the city? To even to measure the water pressure of that, you need to be paying a $2,500 to get a pressure to be measured from the city. Okay, once you understand what is the pressure of that water, then you need to be drawing a lines from the city line, right? Like each city lines to draw will cost you around 40,000, and again depends on where is that lines are located.
Yes.
And again, as you said, very well said, if you're changing it, sometimes the commercial projects, right? Like they might tell you to upgrade your plumbing lines to the newest code. Okay, then the newest code will again, it will cost you to again 30 to 40,000. And if your sewer line is basically is lower, that's again on top of it one more cost. And again, you on the fire sprinklers, as I was mentioning, fire alarms. The fire alarms will cost you another 25,000. Now, a lot of listeners might be thinking, hey, why the prices are going up, going up? What is home prices? I'm talking about the home prices. See, these are the reasons for the home prices are keep going up, because whatever you touch anything on the remodeling depends on the complexity of what you're doing. And you're doing a simple project, but if you go to the new constructions, why the newer constructions are not, price is not reducing? Reason is this, because anything you want to do it as per the code standards, everything goes into the price right now.
Correct. Correct. As a contractor, we charge the amount of work what we're doing. Okay. For example, you brought up the thing for fire sprinklers. So right now, all new homes, if you are also extending to some certain extent of the square footage to your house, the fire sprinklers are required. It is mandatory.
Yeah.
Okay. So all these ones, it will.
The reason I was touching about the fire sprinklers, right? Fire sprinklers are one of the expensive thing to do in your house because you need to be digging the city's line. And whenever, for example, whenever you're doing general A contractors, if you're not getting a right contractors who's digging in the city lines, if something they don't do dig in properly or trenching in properly, and if they burst the public lines,
Correct.
then recently one of my client who paid 45,000 if they didn't trench. Basically, when connecting the lines, right, they made a mistake there. The public line burst and they paid 45,000 fine. That's why the class A contractor, general A contractor like you makes a difference. Correct. So that is where, like, especially when you're doing if you don't get hire a right contractors, and basically if they cut short.
Correct. So basically what we do is, when we're trying to do some excavation work for plumbing or electrical, so we need to call 811 for utility company to come there and then do their markings. So based on that marking, we need to find out the right solutions, how you can do it. Because sometimes, you cannot go with the excavator and keep digging in because you don't know what pipes are under, whether it can be electrical pipes, it can be water pipes, it will cause bigger damage, so that's why it's always, because if you have a general contractor who is experienced in these ones, he knows how he need to handle it. This is just for a small, example, to talk about how experience matters. In your case, if your contractor or whoever contractor is experienced, he should first of all know, okay, when we're doing this kind of digging in the city or even at his place, so he need to call 811, to check if there is any plumbing lines, sewer lines, any sort of.
That's 811 is for PG&D, right?
Like PG&D, yeah. So PG&D normally have send someone. So we need to raise a ticket. They send someone to do the scan. So basically, they will check for their electrical. Okay, and then also we need to call the city, and then update them as well about the digging what we're doing, so that they are aware as well. So they need to give some clearance. So in that way, we can start digging. So for any of the projects. So that's what normal we do. Okay, so for any of our projects,
I think that's what it is. Like the reason it's again depends on cost effective ways to manage your remodel is all depends on the scope of the project. Correct. Which is very important. That see, anytime when you're not defining your scope of the project, then the prices can go up.
Correct.
That is one of the things always as the homeowners when they're approaching for the remodeling. A lot of homeowners thinks like, hey, there's a big lot, let me go buy the house, and then I can do the remodeling, right? I can add the additions. But look out for this cost, whatever it is involved when you're buying a house, like, because remodeling nowadays it takes a lot of time because the codes are changing every time, and you need to be working with an architect, you need to be working with your civil engineer to draw up the plans, and again it depends on the square footage what you are doing, and it's again depends on the fire sprinkler team you need to be working on, alarm team, fire alarms you need to be working on,
and then also the type of soil what it is. Sometimes if the soil is not that strength enough, and then the type of land where you're building is not flat enough, so in that cases we have to have some certain other types of construction methods.
I think that's a well said, right? Like a lot of listeners might be thinking they're listing the land values for 500K, 600K. Let me go buy it. That is not the way to go for it. Anytime when you're buying in, especially a land in hilly areas, you need to be looking at the soil type. Is that the soil type allows you for the even building the houses?
Correct. Sometimes we have to do some pier construction. Piers are nothing but we are drilling some holes, probably like 20 feet, 18 feet, or 25 feet, 30 feet deep into the soil.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have to put some steel bars and then pour the concrete. So it's like a cylinder shape, holes that we keep drilling. Depending upon the house, sometimes the 3,500 square foot house will have like 80 piers. Okay, this kind of drilling piers is expensive, and then we have to do the retaining walls in order to make the building stand on top of it, on that type of land. And then also sometimes if it is flat, sometimes it's there is no such thing of a pier construction is required. Sometimes it is a perimeter foundation with the 18-inch crawl space plus a depth of 36-inch perimeter foundation is only required. In those scenarios, you will not end up costing more, but in some cases where you have peer drilling is required, where your soil is not strong enough, so you have to go even more depth foundation. So it all adds up.
I think it's a well said, like especially when you're buying a lot, you can't go and work with simply blindly go buy any lot. If it's listed for less price, doesn't mean even there are some houses, some lots in Milpitas area and the hilly area in a 95127 zip code. It is listed for 600K, 700K. It's 2-3 acres. But you can't do anything. You can just go and sit there in a chair, but you can't build a house there.
Correct.
So that is why you need to be looking when you're buying a house. That is where the realtor makes a difference for you. So who can educate you what kind of lands you can buy it, and especially and even the contractor can help you out, especially when they're doing the remodeling or like basically adding the new units there. Who can help you or guide you what is the best way to do it? Like all the things when you're buying a land always starts with a soil test.
Yes. And then also the other thing is I would add is, sometimes the utilities, if you have utilities or not. If you don't have utilities, if you don't have public transport there, I mean, if you don't have a in road facility, so you have to build your own roadways. You have to build your own utilities. You have to pay more to build the utilities onto the site. Sometimes, when you are trying to buy a land, it is better to see the utilities on the site. Okay, if not, you have to pay more, which most of the sellers won't disclose. So we have to check with the city, or we can also check for the homeowners, whoever is interested in buying it. So
I think checking the utilities is very important, listeners. Like when you're buying a lot, especially, don't go blindly. I think I discussed quite enough on this. Like one of the client who bought a 20 acres in a Gilroy, but it didn't have any utilities. He didn't have a road to build everything. It cost him another 1.5. In the Gilroy,
correct.
he could have bought 2 million house. He could have bought a fully built house. But now even to add the roads, even to add a utilities, it cost him so much. And the last 4 years, he keeps adding, but to get a permit itself is not happening for him.
Yes.
Listeners, it's something complex if you're thinking we are discussing too many complex subjects, but if you're not understanding and you would like to talk to like Naresh and would like to understand what's completely about the remodeling, you can call him later, but you can call me also after the show. I'll give out my numbers. But one important, we have 2 minutes left over, but let's talk importantly, like what advice would you give to someone looking to remodel their home in today's market? Should they cut corners or should they hire a qualified contractors?
I would definitely say qualified contractors are better because they will be upfront and then telling everything. They'll fold everything upfront. So rather than hiring not experienced slash unlicensed contractors, so you'll get constant surprises. So in order to avoid that, just hire a licensed contractor. Have a peace of mind. Your job is done the right way on time. So no more surprises.
I think two things you very well said. Peace of mind, do the right way. In this country, this is very important. Peace of mind,
yeah,
right way. If you are doing a cutting corners or cut corners when you're doing a remodel, you will be basically facing consequences full. Like maybe after your remodeling is done, also my plumbing is leaking somewhere, my electrical shocks you're observing it. Don't find a cut corners when you're doing a remodeling.
Yes, and then one more thing I would like to add. Even you can ask me, hey, do you think general contractors, licensed contractors will cut corners as well? So if they cut corners, they are liable for the job. So they have to go and fix it for you for free again. So which in turn will, if they have to spend a lot more money as a contractor. So that's why contractors always try to do it one time right way, charge more. So they don't want to go again and fix it. If you're trying to send them the crew again to fix that issues, it will cost them more.
Okay, thank you, Naresh. If somebody wants to talk to you after the show, how can they reach out? What's the best way to call you?
Hi, 92.3 FM listeners. My name is Naresh. I'm from NT Bay Area Construction. My phone number is 510-324-6588.
Thank you, listeners, for listening today. Myself, Nagraj Annaya, the Bay Area Realtor. If you want to reach out to me, the best way is go to nagrajhome.com, click on a WhatsApp icon, and easy to connect with me. And any questions on the Bay Area real estate, you can call me. It's a free consultation. You can always reach out to me. And thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening today. But if you have any further questions on the remodeling, as Naresh mentioned, you can reach out to him also after this show. Let me repeat, my best way to connect is go to nagrajhome.com, click on a WhatsApp icon, the best way to connect with me. Thank you and have a wonderful day.